Easy one-on-one.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. It's episode 231. New guest has dropped. Anthony's here from Conley Herps, and he's been mentioned. He's in the canon many times by Eileen, but he was never a guest somehow. But we did it. We pulled it off. And we're talking about, Eileen's here in spirit. What's up? AJ's here, Quirky and Fish Guy. We're talking about Tinley, and we're just talking about Anthony's business too, and go into maybe how he thinks his business works and has worked for 2 decades. Because I think that's why most people listen to this podcast is for like reptile breeding business advice. So hopefully, maybe we'll learn something. We haven't learned anything in a couple weeks, and that's disappointing for me.
Well, let's do it.
All right, good. So, when did you don't have to do the full I've caught a garter snake when I was 10 story, but when did you decide that you wanted to breed in the past? You wanted to be a reptile breeder?
So the easy answer is I have been into snakes my whole life. I didn't actually intend to ever be a breeder. I got a degree in economics, was a financial advisor. My collection just kept growing, and then it became, well, if I breed this one pair, it pays to feed them, for the year. When I was a little bit younger, it's like, well, if I breed this one pair of green tree pythons, it'll buy me a Jeep Wrangler, which was like the best thing ever. And over time, I think it's kind of a natural evolution, even if you're not attempting. Like if you get good at something, if you're talented at something, it just becomes easier. And at a certain point, it was like, it's easier for me to run a snake business because I did have a business background, economics. I knew how to run business. So it just became a natural progression where it's like, it makes more sense for me to be self-employed, build my own business. Back in 2004, I think is when my business officially got started. And then 2007, we incorporated. And then about 13 or 14 years ago, we moved into a 6,000 square foot warehouse and commercially produced rodents, ball pythons, boa constrictors. I've done other things over the years, but kind of as I'm getting closer to retirement, it's pretty much just ball pythons. And now I'm picking up some corn snakes because they're super easy and easy on the back, not like boas or berms or retics.
Yeah, and they really want to breed. They're like extremely interested in producing babies.
Yes. And the really cool thing I like about ball pythons is when you're selling animals, it's, incumbent upon us to find good homes for them. And the one thing I have learned over many years, this is a cyclical industry, which means people's interest wanes and flows. And most people don't like to get bit by their pet, honestly. So, ball pythons lend themselves being human tolerant, to being much better ambassadors to entry-level people getting into it. And it was just so much easier to build a business on that. They give you a lot of leeway in educating the customer. Like a corn snake is so easy to keep, like a crested gecko is, but it's so easy to kill it. Like so easy.
It's easy to lose them.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point where I bred less boas because everybody that was buying the boas was just like, well, how big can I make this thing? And it's like, this isn't healthy for the snake. I don't really like this, So the ball python, I guess the community, like not like the breeder community per se, because like you had mentioned previously to the online chat there's a lot of infighting in the snake breeding community. But people that are looking for pets just kind of want to be educated and enjoy their pet. And actually, I think that's cool. So, if I can make a really, really pretty ball python that sells for $250 or less, super easy to sell them. I'm not doing any sales pitch. Somebody's just like, I want a mystic potion, or I want a plain albino, or this or that, whatever it is. I'm happy to help, fill that need. And a lot of breeders just don't want to do that. If you're breeding out of your house, you may want to make as much money as humanly possible, but just keep in mind that you're competing with thousands and thousands of people for like 10 customers.
How many adult female ball pythons do you have currently?
About 400.
And how many Do you get clutches out of a year? Are they like old and tried and true females that?
Yeah, so we attempt to have 150 clutches per year. That's our goal
Okay.
because
Do
my
you
overhead is quite substantial.
so do you pay a commercial lease or do you own the
Yes,
building?
yeah, we lease
Oh.
the building. I have a good rodent business. I sell to pet stores and some breeders in the area. So in effect, my rodent business, I feed my animals for free, which I guess is like $2,000 to $3,000 a week. Like I
Mhm.
get free for feeding my snakes.
How or do you have like large contracts for rodents so that it's not that onerous to do the deliveries and customer service, or do you do like
Oh no, it takes up almost all my time.
okay.
I have an employee. So at my peak, I had 3 full-time employees.
Mhm.
Economics have changed, so that has dwindled down to 1 full-time employee, and then my wife helps me. And
Do you mean the
uh, the,
margins on the rodents have changed versus
no, the snakes
okay.
devalued like
Mhm.
crazy. And everything costs more money. I mean,
Yeah.
literally everything costs a lot more money. And when you're doing it on scale, I mean, like I use, just as an example, I use 2,000 pounds of rodent food every week. So it's one of my largest expenses. That has shown no slowdown of price depreciation. So I've had to kind of shop around a lot more than I would traditionally have done.
What brand are you
Right
on
now we're
now?
on Calm Block.
Mhm.
That
Do you
works
buy it
really
by the pallet?
pretty much. So I used to get tractor trailer loads, but to be honest, I was actually paying more than I talked to a friend of mine who owns a massive wholesale business for the East Coast. He sells literally everything that has to do with anything. So it's not just like a reptile thing, but he
Mhm.
sells guns and ammo and archery stuff and bait and tackle and everything. And he commercially breeds rodents as well. And I've known him for 30 years, and I talked him into using the same food. So now he buys it in bulk, and I just pick it up twice a week from him
That's
and actually pay a lot less doing it that way.
Have you ever tried to get a feed mill to mill you?
Back in the day, we actually even thought about maybe we'd like start our own feed mill.
Mhm.
But as I've gotten older, I'm just more tired and I'm a lot less interested in building out an empire, you
Right.
know? Um, and I'm really more about making life easier. Um, and I mean, if you do a ton of animals, you might get this. It's just when you have a huge overhead and you're dealing with employees and you're dealing with neighbors, I mean, you can have unlimited problems. Um, and the closer I get to being 50, the I'm like, yeah, I could just breed a lot fewer snakes and
Mhm.
be probably just as but more happy with less stress. So I don't know. I'll probably do this for a few more years and then just start to pare back naturally because it takes a long time to unwind the business. Like I said, I've been doing it for over 13 years at a big scale. And I really enjoy the animals, but at the same time, um, you know, it's just I'm getting towards like I think I want to travel more, to be honest.
Mhm. Well, what do you think about having like a rodent feed business as your retirement business? Like you're not making it, you're just contracting the recipe to the feed mill and then the feed mill produces it and you market it. And
Yeah, all that's a possibility. We'll look into it. I manage a lot of money, like because I was a financial advisor, and so I
mhm,
still manage a lot of money, and that has ballooned into more and more assets under management, as they'd say in the financial industry.
mhm,
And so it's kind of like a natural progression. The one thing that's really, really nice about the stock market is I could have 20 million invested and I could liquidate it in one day at full retail, and you can't do that with snakes.
right.
So just
Or
as I
feed
get
mills.
older, yeah. So I mean, everything's a great idea. It's just for anybody, it's a great idea. Business is great. America's great. Capitalism's great, but you have to have the gusto. And if you
Mhm,
can't see, it's a lot of white hair. um, but the rodents actually are probably. I mean, on scale, it's a lot of work, but they're
mhm,
super easy. Um, so I would encourage anybody that is new to it, it's a good way to make supplemental money. That's how I started off. And then it just kind of just kept going. And we got, at one point we had the zoo, the Virginia Zoo. We had two big pet stores at the same time. I mean, we were just doing an insane amount of rodents every single week. Um, and and yeah, like I've been doing. How long have I been doing rodents? I don't know, probably 20 years. I call it like a prison sentence. I've served a couple life sentences, and then I'm looking at parole and getting out. So like the closer I get to that, I'm not trying to sound down at all. It's just I've done it for a really long time. It's time for
You want to
somebody else
sell
to jump into
rodent
that.
business first, or do they have to go together because the snakes have so much
So
demand?
I did the snakes forever, and we had rodent breeders around us that we could buy from. And then without trying to sound too petty, I got butted out where I couldn't get my rodents in lieu of somebody else. And so when he did that, I created my own rodent business and put him out of business. And that's kind of how business goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept getting bigger. Like I said, I never really had firm intentions of becoming a scale of anything. It just, the longer you do it, business gets easier. You have a lot more customers.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep coming back. All you have to do is treat people right. It's not hard. Almost everything we breed is super easy to breed. So then it just comes down to your business acumen. You pay attention to stuff that sells well, stuff that sells more difficult. Either make less of it or don't make it. Don't let somebody tell you that something's cool and you should do
Mm-hmm.
it. If it doesn't work for you, don't work for you. Move on. But um, I would have to say I'll probably keep snakes my entire life. Even when I call it retirement, I'm still gonna have snakes and I'm gonna breed some. It'd be stupid not to. Like, I've got a lot of experience with it. It's fun. But I mean, just purely, this is true. Like, I could easily make out of my house what I'd consider almost no effort, 50 to 100,000 in W-2 salary a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like no effort at all. So for the people that are doing this and saying like you can't make money and all that, like just watch what you're doing. Don't be so manipulated by people. If you love a project, there's a difference between doing something as a hobby and doing something as a business.
Mm-hmm.
uh, just because something sells good for Chad Holker, we're really good friends. He lives really close to me, but he likes to jump through all the hoops and be on YouTube and all that stuff. And he can sell expensive snakes. That ain't gonna work for me because that's not me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I can answer any question you could have, and I can tell you both sides of the coin for everything that's to do with keeping ball pythons because I've done it so long. So I made a lot of mistakes, So experience is worth a lot. Um, but it's I would have to say, of all the businesses I've ever been a part of, um, breeding snakes is probably the most rewarding because you get to hatch something and it's so much
Mm-hmm.
joy. Like when you hatch something, like you actually like it. Everything else is a job. This is fun, and you get paid to do it if you want to. But yeah, the rodents, like I could easily just stroke a check for that. Like
Right.
I would not be heartbroken at all if you were like, you can't do rodents. I'm like, okay,
Right.
no,
For
no
sure.
fighting.
Do you take a salary, or do you make enough money from other businesses or income to not need a salary taken from the snake business?
I'm W-2. I W-2 myself and the employees.
Okay.
And so I've been employed by Conley Herps Inc. for, I don't know, 17 years. I haven't had a job. I've just been making money selling snakes. And then it got into the rodents because somebody was trying to shaft me. So I couldn't
Mhm.
get rodents. So that was not on for, like, I was trying to just buy rodents like everybody else. And that is the issue when you try to stab somebody in the back. Like if you do it, there could be a consequence. So
Mhm.
he lost his business.
Well, since you've been in the hobby a long time, do you think the margin change in ball pythons post COVID is, I don't know, unique as far as like bear markets go, or is it
So
special
2000,
because like the rubber band was pulled up really high during COVID and then it fell
yeah.
down more
So
concomitantly?
it's cyclical anyway, right? It's
Right.
cyclical in the fact that in good markets, it's easier to sell discretionary items than it is like, I mean, if oil prices went to $200, like literally, like Iran war
Mm-hmm.
going on right now, if oil prices go to $200, that's really, really, really going to affect the pet people. So the people that would then buy from me or buy rodents, you all of a sudden now you only buy rodents every other week instead of weekly.
Mm-hmm.
If you're truly like, if you're Bob Vu or somebody and you need a certain animal for a project, it doesn't matter what the economy's doing. So it's extremely motivated by just general economics. And then the cyclicality also happens when people just burn out on a certain species. And so that happens too. So you can have a huge bull market in ball pythons for a decade, and then all of a sudden, because everybody's competing with everybody at the highest level right now, oh, well, we don't want to do it. So, okay, you don't have a crystal ball. It may take 4 or 5 years for that market to flush out. And then at a certain point, it just becomes easier to sell again. And you're like, okay, we bottomed and we're, now moving in the right direction. You always have new people coming into the hobby. I'll argue that COVID was horrible for the hobby. It was great in the fact that you made a lot of money really quick, but it's completely artificial. You get a ton of people that had no business buying the snakes they bought, whether they were being bibbed to or fluffed. Like, you ain't making money on a $15,000 Desert Ghost clown purchase, because everybody bought them. They're gonna breed them as many things as they can, and now walk around a show, and every single thing is Desert Ghost, and they're still trying to get $2,000 for it. It's like, I'm not pooping on anything. I'm just saying the economics of it. Everybody can't sell Ferraris, that devalues the Ferrari. So if you walk around, I think right now the high end market is what you see is the most depressed. I had no problem, like at Tinley. Eileen can vouch for this, but I don't know. We sold 40 to 50 snakes. I don't remember. I haven't even counted the cards yet. But we were busy the entire weekend. And that's because you don't have to make huge plans for affordable and pretty. The number of people getting into it to breed high end is a lot less. Now, if you can export, your market's so much bigger. And so that's why more established guys are typically going to have a better go of it. Now, if you had a mentor or something like that, and you're into the export market, that certainly helps. You need a lot of people with deep pockets to buy a $2,000 snake. I personally might not consider $2,000 a lot of money for a snake, but a huge chunk of the snake buying populace will. And that number even itself changes. Pre-COVID, I would have said 350 and under was super easy to sell. So I'd sell Mystic Potions for $350 all day. Post-COVID, there's a huge run up. People were selling like adult Mojave females for like $800, and I thought that was a joke. I didn't think they were doing it, but they really were. And it's like, well, think how foolish that is, like, to buy that. That's like buying a stock at its absolute pinnacle high, and then just to watch it drop like a rock. So 100%, things will just continue to get better, but we have no crystal ball as far as a time frame. You still have a lot, in my opinion. So people will hate me for this, but in my opinion, there's still way, way, way too many of those expensive snakes sitting on tables. Putting on a lot of size. So I don't know how that works out. That's not my market. But I can tell you 100%, there's still always people getting into snakes, but people have to use some sort of common sense to it. Just look at how many people you're competing with. And if you're doing something because you really enjoy it, that won't matter. If you're doing it as a business, you got to put a business person's hat on and see, when you're making a smart decision and when you're not. And that'll always change. It's never going to be stagnant, or static. It changes from time to time.
Do you think the window that a pet person is comfortable with has been compressed down a little bit post inflation, Mageddon, money printer go burr because of inflation? Or do you think they'll still tolerate a $300 price point?
Well, for me, honestly, like right now, that's a bit tougher. Right now it's like 150 and under. Like, I can sell so many $150 snakes. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, barf. Like, I don't want to sell a $150 snake, but I can sell as many as I can, like, just post or show, like, people buy them super, super fast. And I honestly believe that number will creep back up. you know, like
Mhm.
somebody will 150 will then be 200, 250, you know, something like that. But that's the really good thing about doing snake expos, I think. Um, online is one thing, but when you go to a snake expo, you really see people's true reaction to the snakes as they walk by. And anything that is extremely attractive to a woman that's not into snakes will be a
Mhm.
fantastic seller. Like you
So,
don't have to worry about that. Um, anything that's genetics. So I have an orange dream, desert ghost, double het, clown pod, genetic stripe, or whatever. Like all that stuff. Like that's really really hyper competitive right now. So if you're trying to make a living selling just those, unless you're super famous, you know, YouTube bringing a ton of people, like I mean I don't, I mean I know like a Bob Vu and people like that can do it, but I mean if you want to do it now, you got to compete with him, you
mhm.
know. And I mean only they can answer those questions because I'm not in that market, but I can definitely tell you from walking around the shows, those snakes are, I mean, I'm not saying this is a fact, but I mean, with my own eyes, there's people that don't sell a single snake. I mean, there's not a snake out of their display at the end of the show.
Was there
Um,
any of that at this Tinley, even though it was
yeah,
okay, even though it was like
yeah.
a good, very busy Tinley?
Oh, it was slammed. I mean, this was crazy. We were so busy. Like it was, I mean, it'll sound hyperbolic, but I don't think until maybe like the last hour of each day, it slowed down.
Do you think this was
Um,
like the best Tinley since a 22 Tinley?
It has to be. I steadily went down and went down and went down. This one was a blowout of six. I don't think this is my best ever, but I mean, definitely in the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
it was crazy. Um,
Do
and
you
normally I
attribute
do.
that to anything like like last fall was very weird, like the Daytona was weird, and I was like, maybe people are like pushing forward their demand to tax time so hard now because they really need to.
Yeah, you know, the weird thing is if you follow economics, it shouldn't be this way. Healthcare costs go up a lot, oil costs go up a lot, which means your gas goes up a lot, your heating oil's up a lot. Um, you know, you wouldn't traditionally think, you know, people are going to be buying lower end animals. Um, but I saw a ton of people. Now, I didn't get a chance to walk around much. We were just
Mhm,
busy, and then walking around was difficult. But I mean, it looked like people were buying a lot of stuff, you know.
mhm,
And I know Chad did well because I talked to him, and I believe it when he tells me stuff. But just for me walking around and looking at other people's tables, and I do focus on ball pythons, so I'm not looking at, you know, corn snakes, retics, boas, and any of those things, or the geckos or anything like that. But in my world, um, it seems very difficult to sell those expensive snakes. And Bob Vu had a great point. um, you know, you should be producing stuff that you already know you have a demand for personally. So if you have a
mhm,
customer that already wants it, it's easier to produce for that demand than it is to try to create the demand after the fact. And when you're selling pets, that's really easy because it's like, you know, I'll keep using this one over and over again. Nobody wants to make them, but just make a plain mystic potion with pattern, not reduced pattern. Don't put any other, you're peeing in the Kool-Aid as soon as you add anything into it. Make pretty mystic potions. You can never ever make enough of them. It's just a fact, you know. But you walk around, you don't see those. Everybody's just trying to put in more and more ingredients and sell it for more money. And like I don't. I mean, it's obvious that makes it more difficult to sell, not easier to sell. So
mhm. Well, what is your rate for a Mystic Potion in today's
about two
2026?
about $250.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well, what's the
yeah,
have you ever calculated like how much it costs you to produce a ball python?
yeah. My cost is quite high, but it'll be between $50 and $80 depending on how many babies we produce that year.
And that's with the rodents being paid for by the rodent business, or is it like counting the cost
You
to
would you would
that
still
business from the
you
roaches?
would still build in the cost of how much because you could sell that rodent, right?
Right, right.
So while it doesn't cost me anything out of pocket, there's an opportunity cost for feeding my
Yes.
animals. And it's easier to sell a rodent than it is almost any snake. Um, but out of your house, when I did it out of my house, I think I got my cost down to like $12 a snake. Your
Oh,
overhead's just so much less.
right.
So if you once again, if you really are into the business aspect, not just like I like breeding snakes, like that's great. Now build on that. Get a little better each year, and then figure out ways you can tweak stuff and make it a little bit cheaper. I mean, cage cost you buy it once. It's a
Hmm.
it's a durable good. You bought it a long time. So really, it comes down to electrical cost, which is almost nothing for snakes. I'm sure there's some lizard people that really have to, those light bulbs
Hmm.
probably cost a bit, but snakes don't cost much. It would be how efficient is your room, to heat and cool your room.
Hmm.
Um, but that would be it. Then your labor. Once again, if you're not, necessarily W-2ing yourself, if you're doing it for fun, you may not value your time at all. It's your hobby. That's what you'd be doing anyway. But if you're paying somebody, like, it's tough to actually run a business with just volunteers. So 15 an hour, 20 an hour, 25 an hour, whatever it is. So that, I
Hmm.
mean, that can really drive up your cost. And that's one huge difference when you get into commercial, where you have to have employees. That costs a good bit. And it's not just the cost of an employee, but disability insurance, unemployment insurance,
Hmm.
AFLAC, if you want to offer AFLAC, like all that stuff just, adds up. And so that's why my cost is quite high. But I mean, everything's just math. So at that point, you just say, okay, well, if it costs me this much and my cost is, I'll make it 200,000. Well, I got to, how many clutches, if I average 6.7, hatchlings per clutch, healthy hatchlings, like how many clutches do I need,
Hmm.
and then you can dial it down even more. Say, okay, well, if it takes me 100 clutches, I want to have 25 clutches of just mystic potions or super lessers or blue eye lucies, bamboo sugars, banana sugars, like the stuff that just is so easy to sell. It pays for your entire hobby. And now you're left with, whatever it is, 75 clutches to have fun and kind of swing for the fences. And then that's where you can
Is
make
that
your
what you
real.
do? 75 like personal edification clutches?
No, like I said, we try for 150.
Well, I mean, like, how many are your like personal fun project clutches?
I'm boring. I don't have any.
No, you don't
No.
like want to just mess around.
Okay. So here's the issue: is I really, really like snakes.
Hmm.
Everything I do, I've been doing for a very long time. So I've always been tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it. So I have a lot of pride in stuff that I'm selling for $250. I don't care that it's $250. You
Okay.
know. Um,
Well, I mean, what
so
if
if
the
I
next great pet snake is, I don't know, something really cool, like, I well, something that's like on the breeder side right now, and it's going to
like a
come
pied
over.
boa, like a pied boa,
Yeah, like, that's going to be, and it's
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
that'd be cool.
But
Yeah, that'd
you
be
could be
cool.
IMG pied boa. We could make Oreo pies,
Yeah,
and that,
so
and I think they would.
I don't like doing anything cutting edge. I like to let other people prove stuff out. I've invested a lot of money that went bust. Like the females don't lay, or I mean, just any number of stupid reasons why $5,000 became zero. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's a lot easier for me to allow people to make stuff and I can kind of see their success and what they're failing at and
Mhm.
see if it's worth doing. Because for me as a business, I mean, it has to be about profit and loss. Um, and in that, like I said, with Mystic Potions, I've tried to refine them. When did we start that? Like 2004 or something. I mean, like you just every year you try to make it a little better or try to increase. Like I only want to make it where I make either Super Mojave or Mystic Potion, and I want both of them as nice as I can make those.
Mhm.
With either in some projects you have to have diversity because you'll get a lot more kinks or one eyes or whatever. Like there's always work to be done in a project, so you're never ever done. It's always a work in progress. Painting a bridge, as soon as you're done, you start right back over and start painting again. Um, and I think that's what is so fun about it. The new product. I mean, as stuff comes out, it's great. It's like okay, that's worth doing.
Mhm.
I'll invest in that. But
Well, is there anything that's dropped in price to like pet pricing that you're like, oh, I'll just buy some? of those now because now they're like $300. Like I don't know, dreamsicles are pretty relatively
Yeah, so
reasonably priced.
yes, funny you mentioned that. So yeah, dreamsicles and clown pies have done fantastic for me in the past couple years. And when I say that, that means I sell out like quicker than I'd like to. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, okay, so I need to make more of those, or I need to make, add yellow belly or this or that, orange dream, yellow belly dreamsicle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like that a lot. I mean, you can make some beautiful snakes, very affordably. That being said, like I'm still watching Sunset. Have I made them? Yeah. But to be honest, I want to watch other people make stuff because I haven't actually seen anything that really like floats my boat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference between I sell it and make money and then like where I'd actually want to go long term, maybe a lavender albino, like a sunset dreamsicle. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like somebody else to make it because every time I see something, I'm like, yeah, that's not my cup of tea.
Did you buy into clown pie or did you make your own hats yourself?
I made it. I made all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like recommend that for like long-term sustainability?
No. So generally my recommendation is buy males, make females.
Okay.
So one, when you do that, just this is not a firm rule. I'm not trying to shoot down anybody's sales of females at all. Obviously at the beginning you're buying females, but what you'll find is as you're producing stuff, you're going to make some really, really neat animals that you just like more than others. And you have to stay passionate about this. You're cleaning poop forever, like the snake could get sick. You have to take care of it, take it to the vet. So you need to keep the animals that you really like and are pushing the project in the direction you're going, if you want to stay in it. So in the long run, as I'm making stuff, because males come down a lot faster generally than females do. It's easier to say, I made these like axanthic clowns. We're building out that project to make axanthic desert ghost clown pies, right? So I will continue to make my females. And then every couple of years, as a male comes across my bow at the right price, I'm an investor, then I'll buy a male maybe for $2,000. That's, a double visual that's het for the others. But it's just, a lot can go wrong with the female. And if you invest a lot of money in females, like it could take you a long time to recoup your money. And this is not a firm rule at all, but typically when I hatch stuff, it's just a lot easier than when I acquire stuff. Although at my age, like I'll buy a snake right out of the egg, like 100% confident that I'm going to do perfectly well with it. So, but as the general buyer, I would say you're going to do better hatching your females. Like those females are going to do, grow better for you than if you're just going out and buying stuff. Because a lot of times people are looking at price points and it's like, well, why is that guy selling it a lot cheaper than other people? There's probably a reason, right? It sucks at eating or it only eats like a soft fur rat on a Sunday night on a full moon. I mean, that's the best advice I could give. Like, is as the longer you do it, you're buying less, and when you buy your male and aim to make your females, and that 100% will do you well. I can't say that you'll never find a female that's at affordable price is a great animal for sure. That happens too.
Well, there's a lot of like the culture of rotating females. Like the second it breeds one time, it's already rotated out because it's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, that's dumb. I have females that are 30 years old and still laying eggs.
Yeah, I also think it hurts. It suppresses the market for whatever that project is because you're dumping whatever the triple het females.
Well,
you're whatever.
The crazy thing is, you think of a snake. I kind of think of my business like I'm a food and beverage director at a large resort hotel. And, all those snakes are my guests. And I need to make sure they have a good time so they want to get it on in their hotel room and make babies. If you're giving up these, wonderful guests that are pumping out 8, 10 eggs, and go right back on food in hopes that you're bringing this new one and it's going to do just as good. You
Mhm.
know, you can get lucky and that can happen, but it won't happen continuously. And that's why you see people build out such large collections. Because you say I'm going to max out at 30 females. Well, that's going to be tough if you want to keep growing your business. Because all right, well now you have to have 30 holdback females, and then you got to get rid of them, and then bring all these girls in at the to attempt to reproduce their effort. Now, 100%, if you said I'd replace a double het clown pied with a visual clown pied, that's good. But what happens if that female lays 13 eggs?
Mhm.
It doesn't cost a lot of money with males. Like you can get a huge return on investment, breeding that same female. Or now with shed testing, you can use a little bit cheaper of animals to make your quads because you can test them.
Mhm.
You know, everybody's in a different situation. If you have unlimited money, but you have limited space, I totally get it. But I would never just throw out an animal, and I don't. I dislike selling my adults greatly. I do it, but I have to do it at a slow pace so I can kind of like place them versus just sell
Mhm.
them. But I mean, like I just saw at Tinley, I sold a inchy pied female that probably mathematically doesn't have much like value, but I mean, she was, I don't know, 6.5 feet long and, as big around almost well, a lot bigger than a softball, like almost football. I mean, just gigantic. So it's like, in my collection, because I have so many visual pies that fit into my specific projects, I could let that go. But
Mhm.
if you don't have something that's going to lay as many eggs as that, you breed a banana pie to that, you'd be surprised how much money you make,
Right.
you
I
know?
just feel like I don't know, like the way the ball python culture was for a minute during COVID, it taught a bunch of breeders to be ruthless in a way that's not necessarily fair to themselves and their own collection. I'm like, whoa. They're like, I'm dumping this whole project, and all the adults go, and I'm like,
Well, that definitely devalues and puts a bad taste in people's mouth as they see people dumping stuff. And there's no one answer. Like everybody's in their own
no,
situation.
right?
You have to do what's best for you. Maybe that project isn't working for you. Your male, you can have males that don't breed. You can
Yes.
have females that never. I've had a female. It was given to me as a Christmas gift by a good friend, and it'll sound stupid now because it doesn't have much value. But it was a Het Desert Ghost Posset clown a few years ago. That was something. But I've bred her so many years, and she's never laid eggs. And this year, I was like, I'm going to sell her for $50. And then I put a male to her that was a different male, and it looks like she's about to drop eggs. And I just, of all things, I just want to be able to spike the football whether I prove her out or not. Like it's irrelevant to me at this point because I've had her. I mean, the monetary value is not there, but it'll be neat to prove her out one way or another, and then likely she will move on.
Mm-hmm.
Just because at our place you have to be productive, or you get laid off and replaced with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like a time limit?
No, no,
Okay.
I love my snakes stupidly. So it's kind of, you have to pry it out of my dead hands. Like I cannot possibly keep it. I have so many other snakes that need to move up and they have to move up. And it's like, who is our lowest producing, least,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm not saying valuable, but it's like if you have an employee that sits around just stares at their phone, or you have one that works, double time. Guess who
Mm-hmm.
gets laid off first? The one staring at his phone. But still, I like that snake a lot, and I'm not just going to say, "Pool, give me $1 for it." It'll be like at a show where I can look at somebody in the eye and talk to them, and if they're an idiot, I can be like, "Oh, well, Joe Schmo over there's got one cheaper. Go buy it from him." I don't want my snakes going to a bad situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, I guess one day, maybe not yet, but like the COVID generation breeders will mature into, right, just whatever they're going to be. Either they'll be like strictly high end, or they'll be a mix, or they'll be just pets. But it feels like there's a lot of hangups mentally, and me too, mental hangups around like, when you rotate females and like how big should you be and what's your market, who is your customer, all that is all sort of swirling around right now. And
Yeah.
I think that's why things are still sort of weird a little bit, but maybe we're getting there.
Well, it will. Anytime you have just it doesn't matter what the market is. Anytime you have more competition, things just get more difficult. And then it comes down to, once again, there is no right or wrong answer. It's what works best for you in your situation. So maybe you have less access to rodents. And so I have to maintain a really tight ship.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like, theoretically, I could house as many snakes as I want to keep, but I don't want to. I want to be, I definitely want to be less than 400 females. I don't want to get up to 600 or 1,000, like, it's not because I don't have space and I can't feed them. It's just, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. So everybody's got their own, cutoff as to what they're good with. You will find that naturally. If you don't, you're going to fail. I mean, there's no way around that. And failure can be many things. One just burns you out. I think that happens to most people at some level at some time. I don't know many breeders that have done it for a long time. I mean, professionals too. It's like, you just have periods where you're just burn out. Like, it's so hard to, we're farmers, these animals need care every single day of the year, whether you're got the flu for a week or COVID, repetitive COVID, or you break both your arm, nothing matters. Like, you got to take care of these animals. And mostly when things are going well, you're in expansion mode, right? You just keep expanding because it's going great. And then one day it just doesn't go great anymore. Part of being, if you want to do a business versus a hobby, is you have to learn how to pivot. There is no business in the world. There's no business in the world where CEOs don't have to pivot at some point. Like, you have to just learn and do I always say, don't make anything, never make drastic decisions in any sort of a short time frame. If you really are burnt out, just say, what part of this burns me out the most? Is it just because I don't enjoy the animals, or maybe it's just I have 2 times as many as I would actually enjoy taking care of, So maybe just slowly dial it back.
Did you ever have to pivot?
Sorry.
Did you ever have to pivot where you were like, uh-oh?
Yeah. So initially I bred expensive boas in the late 90s, early 2000s. And when you put it up on King Snake, you go to the bathroom, come back, it was sold. Where do I send the money order? That was easy for a long time. I sold a lot of boas, made a lot of money, but I wasn't a business back then, didn't anticipate being a business. So I didn't manage it like a business, over time. Like I said, I just didn't like, over time, the people that were on average trying to buy the boas, just trying to get them as big as possible. And I was like, let's go get a Burma or a retic, don't do that to my boas.
I feel like that might have changed a little bit.
I haven't been big into breeding boas in a very long time.
You still have some though, right? I saw some.
I probably have 40 adults or something like that.
That's a lot. I think.
It could be.
Most people have none, so having
when you're used to doing it for a lot, like, I didn't just get that, I mean, I've been keeping snakes since 1989. I mean, it's just been a natural, like, I've had I can't remember, when I was in high school, everybody always makes a point of, like, when you're a snake person, like, they give you extra attention, and they do like morning announcements about seniors. Like, can you believe Senior Anthony LeCompte? I can't remember. I think I had 100 and some snakes, and they were like batshit crazy that I had, 100 snakes. But when you've had a ton of snakes for a long time, like right now, I think I could easily by myself maintain my collection of ball pythons. Like, if you took my rats away, if it was just me, I could easily maintain my collection because I'm used to that scale. If I was to bring somebody fresh that had all the passion in the world, they wouldn't enjoy that. Like, it would burn them out super, super fast, and I think really, no matter what you read, no matter what you learn, no matter what you watch on YouTube, there's gonna be failure. You're gonna learn nature is cruel. No matter how good you are, you're not gonna be perfect. Anybody that tells you they're perfect either breeds very little or is lying to you. and not everybody deals with that well. Sometimes it's just the deformities that, over time you're like, this is just too sad and I don't like putting them down, you
Mhm.
know? Sometimes it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've been excited. Like I produce something and I think it's the coolest snake in the world and nobody wants to buy it. And it's like, well, that sucked, like that actually like feels like a slap in the face.
Well, do you feel like you mispriced the snake at that point, or do you feel like you under marketed the snake at that
No,
price?
so this is going to date me like crazy, but one of the first snakes I made that I thought was the coolest thing, and nobody will even give a crap about it now, was a Phantom Inchy Yellow Belly. When I first saw that at Pete Call's place, it's probably like 1,500 or 2,000 bucks, something like that. It was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, God, I really want to make that. So I think it was a Phantom Yellow Belly for 1,500 bucks or something, and I set out to make those.
Mhm.
And then I made a few of them, and not one person had any interest in buying them. And it was just like, that sucks, you know? And so that's going to happen. You're going to buy snakes that you're crazy about, and you're going to do projects you're crazy about, and there'll be a market where nobody wants it.
Do you just
Now,
breed?
everything is price point. I mean, if you put
Yeah,
a low enough price on anything, it's going to sell,
right.
period.
Do you think? But you don't think you should? I don't know. Like marketing's hard because if you overdo it, you're like overhyping it. But some things they need a little shine, a little spit shine, and you're like,
They do. I mean, that's why Justin's so good, right? He's
right,
really, really good at marketing. If I would have made the Pompeii, it wouldn't be as popular.
right, 100%.
Full stop.
I've
But
argued a couple times, like privately and wherever, like a lot of things Justin, turned into diamond. Other people, no one else could have done it except for him exclusively because like they just wouldn't believe it. And
yeah,
then I was like, oh, okay. So like I don't know how to market anything. I guess.
well, so part of it is knowing your customer base and knowing you. So, like, once again, this is the reason I'm not really big into cutting edge stuff. I'm not going to spend that much time just because it's not worth it to me. Like, I have to manage a lot of money in the stock market, which requires a lot of reading.
Mhm.
So my nights are not here thinking of YouTube content and stuff like that. It's not. I manage my collection. I do my sales. And then when I get home, it's like I'm home and I got a different life to live. If you are super, I'll guarantee you there's going to be some people, AI is new, and I know people are knocking it now, but it'll generate tons and tons of marketing ability for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Whether it can create YouTube post or YouTube content, or if it helps you make Facebook and Instagram posts. I don't know any of that stuff, so I'm not going to even attempt to learn it. Like I'm too close to the exit door to jump through those hoops. But that's part of natural evolution of everything. I mean,
Mhm.
the
I do
biggest
hate
companies.
AI generated everything a lot.
It
Just
is, but I mean, now 100% that's where everything's going.
well, I mean, I don't know. I don't like reading people's reptile Instagram posts with an AI caption. I'm just like, why
I
don't
know, but
you?
AI is going to get so good that you're not going to even know
Okay,
that you're reading it
okay,
anymore.
then I'll accept it. But right now, I can see the M dashes, the if then statements, and the it puts clauses together in a way that no human on the earth
Oh,
does.
sure. And then
So
when you hear it all, narrating something, it says something stupid. I mean, it just messes up a word so bad. You're like, oh, that's terrible. But I mean, also AI is like at its first grade level. It's, you know, I'm sure the people riding horses thought the first car was the dumbest idea in the world. You
yes,
know,
probably.
I don't have to, and I know it's not gas engine, so this will be like people will bitch at me, but like you're gonna fill that up with gas. I just feed mine. Like, why would I ever want a car? Now every human being's in a car, nobody's on a horse. It takes a while for change. None of us like change. Like I just said, I'm not
No,
even going to attempt
I'm
it.
too
My wife
old.
does. My wife works in it every single day.
Oh man.
So I mean, that's just how life goes. But that doesn't change us breeding the snakes, so we can still have a very good hobby. But I'm just saying, how marketing goes. If you're good at marketing, you're gonna have a different market of people than if you're not good
Mhm.
at marketing.
That's
Um,
true.
so if I have to sit there once again, if I have to explain to you why something is cool, like I've lost. My job is to just make really cool pets that people already want, and I know they want it, and then I'm just filling a demand. And then every once in a while, you sprinkle in a little something new, see how that does. Um, I think at the beginning it can be disheartening though, because you just don't have as many projects, and so you get
Mhm.
into one and you really need that project to work. You know,
Mhm.
think about, I don't know how many years ago this was, but there was a gene called the desert, not
Mhm.
desert ghost, but it was desert codom or incomplete. I don't know, but that was the one where the females could breed but not lay eggs or something. And if
Did
you
you
jumped,
invest in the desert?
I did. I didn't pay a lot of money, but it completely peed in my Kool-Aid because I'll tell you, this is a 100% true story. I had bought one and made a bunch of babies when this was hot. And I was going to Tinley Park in October, and I don't know, I had like $75,000 worth of desert combos, right? And I was like, I'm going to make a lot of money. On the way to that show, it was either Mark Bailey or the Pro Exotics guy. One of them was doing a reptile podcast interview, or not, probably wasn't a podcast back then, but reptile radio. And on my way there, he says, "Yeah, the females can't breed." So
Oh.
I didn't sell a single desert when I was expecting to make a killing, right? And that's just the type of crap that can happen. So, I mean, another story is I spent an immense amount of money on het axanthic and pos het axanthics in 1999.
Mhm.
And I bought it. My het axanthic male came from a completely professional breeder at the time with 30 years of experience and tons of axanthics in his collection. So you take him at his word, you got a het axanthic. And I spent a decade breeding stuff from a male that was never het axanthic. And so I was like, I am never breeding axanthics ever again. And the funny thing is now I breed a lot of them and make a lot of money with them. But that was only because a friend of mine gave me some axanthic pieds, and then I started breeding those. And when I started making money, I was like, well, okay. But I wasted so much time raising up crap thinking it was a pos het, and
Mhm.
never proved out. It's because the male wasn't.
Great. Do you think pet people are switching anything that they're interested in? Like, is there like a big trend towards
No,
something new that I don't know
I,
about?
I didn't know. It's completely disappointing for everybody. Just
Okay.
make the same crap over and over again. It
Like I was
is
like, oh well, maybe they like all of a sudden are way more into dark pieds than bright pieds,
so
and there's
it
like a
can't. I
trend
mean,
for
at
that.
any. So I always say doing a snake show is a lot like going fishing. So me and you
Mhm.
can go fishing on the same lake, and you can bring in 12 fish, and I can catch nothing. You know, all I
Yes.
did was get drunk in the boat. Um, I haven't figured out a way yet to predict that. Luckily on pies you make a mix, and so there's people that want high white pies. There's
Mhm.
times when I haven't sold a single high white pie, and you sell the low white pie because that's who came through the door. um, I don't worry as much about that. The one thing I do know is in a perfect world, for pies, you make a mix. So like if you make all cinnamon pies, like that's gonna be a tough day. Basically,
Mhm.
it's just like the head, right? The head
Mhm.
has a little bit of pattern and everything else is white. But if you're selling it to, you know, a 13-year-old girl and her mom, they may think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Mhm.
But to somebody that's like, I want to buy a breeder, they don't want that at all.
When
Um,
you merchandise your displays, do you try to group them together by type, or do you spread them
we
out so they look more
Well, we start off that
interesting?
way. So you try to, so like if you were looking at clown pies, you would want this best representation together so that like, oh, I see that clown pie. It's really cool, but I can't afford $450. But oh, that's a really cool clown head pie. And this, like, I can put this together. That's
Mhm.
natural marketing. That works really well. What you will find is an issue. Well, there's two things. One is as you sell stuff, we used to always have deli cups and we would just refill in our displays. So if you came by, our displays were never empty. We would just refill them, right?
Mhm.
And it actually worked. I know a lot of people are like, you have to have empty slots in your displays, but I did it for many, many, many years and it does not hurt sales one bit. Um, and Eileen worked with me. She was an employee of mine for a while and we've remained friends for a long time. She helps me sell snakes at Tinley, so she could attest to all this. Um, But one thing I found, we used to call it Skid Row. And we would just do stacks of deli cups. And those are the ones that were supposed to refill in the displays. And what we
Mhm.
found was people just go nuts sorting through deli cups. Like you went to a comic
Like
book
they
store.
like to sort a stack.
Yeah. So like if you go into a comic book store and you're like flipping through the little box,
Oh yeah, they're trying to
I
pull
need that.
that
Yeah.
Charizard off the back end.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so popular, you know? Now the issue is because shows cost so, like when I'm doing Tinley, it just costs me so much money. I'm trying to put my best foot forward. So we don't have really room to have just a spare table with a whole bunch of junk on it where you can
Mhm.
sort through. In a perfect world, that actually works extremely well. So this last one I did because Eileen didn't bring. She normally will, fill up half a table with her snakes, but she didn't do her job producing the snakes.
She's
So
too busy jet setting to Puerto Rico.
I know, man, I'm so
I'm
jealous.
jealous
She's
too.
living the life, catching salamanders. She ain't got time to breed
I
snakes.
know, it's crazy.
But I mean, we sold so many. I mean, deli cups are
So you
what
did a
pay for.
good job with like the bulk bin, DVD bin, deli cups
Yep.
this
Yeah,
time.
and those will pay for your show, whether you're at Repticon, no matter where you're at. Just have a big pile of deli cups.
What do you
You,
price your deli cup specials at? And I'm assuming they're like normals, inchy double heads, stuff like that.
well, so you can. So a lot of that stuff gets wholesaled for me, to be honest.
Okay, you
So we
do
sell to,
use wholesaler.
yeah. So like
Okay.
plain albinos. I normally wouldn't do like a mystic potion. Mystic potions just sell so easy and they're so pretty. Like you want your acrylics to be, you walk into a jewelry store, you don't want to see a hemp necklace in a fucking, display.
Mhm.
Hemp necklace hangs on a piece of wood. Somebody can steal it. Who cares?
Right.
You don't want your diamond stolen. So with your snakes, like you can have really cool snake. Like you have a pied head axanthic female sitting in a deli cup,
Oh yeah,
But
sure.
but it's just the fact. I think it's just. I don't know I don't study psychology. I just pay attention to what people do, and I can tell you one thing: they love sorting through deli cups. And the other thing I picked up over the years is if you have traditional acrylics, you have three levels, right? You have a low level, a mid tier, then you have your high level. Put your most eye-catching stuff on the lowest level because a lot of people, unless they're at Tinley where you can't just walk by, everything's so crowded, they're looking down. So as they're walking by your table, they're staring down. So if you have some real pretty eye-catching stuff on that table level, it catches their eye, and then they turn and look at your stuff. And in the middle tier, you put your good money stuff, the stuff that makes you your profit. That's like the visual clown pies, the visual dream sickles, and all that good stuff. And then up top, the least looked at stuff just off of peripheral. That's where you could put like your whatever your product is that like you would need as an ingredient to make that cool snake on the middle shelf. But it's not pretty. Don't put it in somebody's line of vision. Put the pretty stuff in their line of vision. Make them come over to your table.
Mm-hmm.
It works really well.
Do you wholesale all of your double, triple, whatever POS hets, double?
If it's male, yeah.
Yeah. You still able to make a market for double hets?
So I don't actually. We're not really into like. So that's what I would call byproduct.
Yes.
And if you want to be profitable, like really profitable, to tweak your business, is you have to breed for your byproduct. So, everybody's breeding to hit this pinnacle animal way up here, but you make all this shit down here, right? This is the bulk of it. This is what you should focus on. So if you're making clown pies, don't breed double head to double head and just attempt to hit this, and everything down here sucks. You have to give it away. So I would rather breed less animals in a project to have really good pairings so that it's easier to sell my product. So like if you breed clown pied to pied het clown, the worst thing I'm making is pied.
Right.
Way easier to sell a pied than it is.
I feel like the trend towards speculative pairings where people are like, I'm going to breed this quad het male to a visual of some of the things has made a bunch of, like maybe you got some holdbacks, but you have nothing to sell that's
right.
attractive looking to pet people. And so we just got all this slop out there now. And I'm like, that should have been wholesale. That should have been wholesale. That should have gone to a pet store. It's a
well, you'll learn that if you do it on any scale, you'll learn that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just physically cannot sell. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I can't tell you how many people attempt to. It's like, dude, man, keep one. keep one female if you keep any, and the other stuff just wholesale, because you're going to wholesale it in a year after you
Right.
fed it,
You fed it.
$50 worth of rats.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of that is you just have to live it, but if you don't learn, that kind of sucks. Now, maybe you live in a perfect area where there is a demand for that for a period of time. A lot of times when you get into something, at the very beginning, it's easy to make sales, but then that customer base dries up, right? So, you get in, your friends like, oh, I can't wait to buy from you. Well, they bought the 2 snakes they wanted and they can't buy anymore and they just got out. So now I've been making these snakes and I have literally nobody that actually wants them. I have to actually now market them.
Have you ever seen like fatigue in a region? Like all of a sudden this whole region acts like it doesn't want bananas for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden you come back a year later and it's fine. Like the banana market recovered.
Yeah. So when you're doing shows in different regions, different product sells easier than others.
Yes,
for sure. Even at like Gap, like if you're in the Northeast, you're going to sell a shitload more coats than if you're in Utah. You have to pay attention to the customers you are serving. I mean, we are sales, it's not just they're coming in and just dying to have everything on your table. Like I don't do well in Pennsylvania. I sell a ton online to Pennsylvania, but if I do a snake show in Pennsylvania, I should have broken my own arm. I would have had a better day than driving up there and spending money.
Is it because Pennsylvania is too internally competitive with the number of breeders in that state?
I don't have a good reason. I mean, why do I sell so many online to them but nobody would buy them at a show?
Do you ever think the online customer doesn't even know a show exists or something? Like sometimes I'm like, they're almost like independent funnels, sales funnels.
Well, so right this second on Morph Market, so many of my customers are literally the first snake they've ever bought.
Level
they're
one.
They're not looking at a snake show. They just, I don't know how they got marketed to Morph Market in the first place. Maybe they're just on Facebook or on YouTube, I don't know, and there's an ad for it and they click on it and they're like, holy shit, like this is a whole world, everybody's got a learning curve and getting established or getting introduced to it somehow. I don't have an answer for that, but I would say the most important thing, no matter who you are, if you are serving a brand new customer, it behooves all of us to keep them interested.
Yes.
So don't take advantage of somebody just because they're new. I've been ripped off. I mean, this was, in the late 90s, you bought females. They weren't females, overwhelming majority of the time. You bought a het albino female for $1,000. You just bought a male. And then by the time you couldn't even complain, the dude, it was a fake business name, just gone, now I like snakes so much. That's not pushing me away. Like, I don't care. I'm going to go buy another snake. A lot of people won't,
All right. I have a crazy question because we're at the end. So like there's some things that are cheaper on Morph Market than they are at shows because Morph Market in some categories is like hyper depressed price wise with inventory for some reason in the ball python category specifically. But I'm like, probably at a show that would be like $300. But some reason on Morph Market, it's $100. Is that fair? I don't know how to say this. Like,
well, there's always.
Like, are you ripping someone off by charging them $300 at a show, even though you think that should be fair market value? But for some reason, there's 50 of them on Morph Market, less than $300.
I don't think that's an easy question to answer. I would often say if something is priced well below what a market price would be, there's probably a reason they're marked low. People trying to get out immediately, literally just take anything, I mean, you can't knock them. What happens if they have a disease or something and they're just like, God, I can't deal with this anymore. I mean, anything can happen, which causes you to need to get rid of an animal immediately. And you shouldn't just be hated for that. But the reason there's a fair market is because they will sell at that on a routine level. So if I could sell an albino for $120 to $150 all day. If I could get $200 all day, I would charge $200, but that would just be tough for me. Now I know
you get 120 online, or is the online albino market suppressed because it's adding in shipping?
So when it's
You know what I mean?
that cheap, when it's that cheap of an animal, I don't try to sell that online. If
Okay.
if you message me and you're like, hey, I really need an albino, I'm happy to make. I mean, because somebody that's brand new to it may have just seen a picture of an albino, and they're
Yes.
like, this is really cool. I mean, it's been around since the '90s, but if you like it, you like it. So if somebody and you would try to find ways to make it affordable for them. Like I do free shipping. So if you see a price on my Morph Market, that's shipped, you
Hmm.
know. Um, if I was to put an albino on there, um, I don't know, probably 150 would be the minimum. But like I could lose my butt shipping to Washington State because I'm in Virginia.
Right.
Even with Morph Market pricing, I'd pay $67 or something like that to
Yeah,
ship
I
it. So
was doing free shipping, but then I split them off on Morph Market because I felt like it makes you rank much later on in the pages. So I split it out and just do flat rate shipping, which is just free shipping with more steps. So you rank lower if they're sorting by cheapest. It seems to have helped a little bit for Morph Market cheaper type animals, but I don't know the right answer.
yeah, I have so little difficulty selling the cheap snakes where I only put a couple on there, period, and usually they're pieds for like 150 shipped or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, and that I don't know how the algorithms work or any of that crap. I just know if I routinely put up some new product, I sell snakes pretty consistently. Uh, if I just put hypothetically, I put up 150 snakes and I was like, screw it, that's the whole summer, not doing anything else. I would only have spotty sales. Like I guess every once in a while you get refreshed to the front or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but if I put up maybe twice a month, like a group of 20 to 25 animals, like that's pretty much like I have enough customers coming through, like that keeps me busy. And then you sell plenty of other stuff and then do like, I don't do as many snake shows as I did, but at one point I'd do one snake show a month, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and that was more than enough as far as making money and bringing in new customers. But I mean, I don't even know. Like my average sale is to a repeat customer. But I have been doing business for a really long time. But I mean, I have lots of people who will buy one snake at a time, but they'll buy 4 snakes a year.
Mhm.
You know, so all that stuff is like dividends. It just starts to stack up. Now I don't care if you're buying $150 snake because the next time you might buy a $600 snake.
Mhm.
Um, everybody should be treated well. I guarantee you, if you do that, you'll have more people buy, more expensive snakes. But you know, people got to get their foot in the door somewhere. So cheap snakes have a very important role. If you're trying to build a business, like you can't just constantly be chasing whales. Like
Mhm.
if it's a hobby, 100% you can do that. Or if you have no overhead, like somehow you have a massive collection with no overhead, you can do that. Like be awesome. I'd do that if you could do that. But uh, so far I ain't figured that trick out.
Well, since Tinley was good, are you doing anything different to prepare for? I'm assuming you're doing June Tinley. Are you excited about June? Do you think it's going to help?
So I can't do June just because if they would have told me at the beginning of the year, I
Oh,
could have done that. But I can't. Like our schedule just doesn't jive with that. Um, so in the future, I will attempt to. Um, but 100%, I've always done every March and every October. Um, for my type of business, it could only help
okay.
once I budget for it, right? I mean, if it costs me $2,000 to do the show, I'm not super excited to dump $2,000 into a show if I don't have the right inventory. Like you have to hold enough
Right.
stuff back because I just don't. I have eggs now, but I don't have stuff where I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna have a whole new inventory for June. Um, if you're a high end breeder, I actually think it hurts because now
Hmm.
you have 3 shows in the exact same spot. Once again, I'm not Brock Wagner, like certainly. But I don't see how more shows in the exact same spot is going to help your sales. It's probably going to hurt more because like there's no real rush. Like anytime you walk into any show, you can buy. This is for ball pythons. Like any show you go into, you can buy a ton of ball pythons.
Hmm.
Especially now, if you're like, I don't even have to go to the October one. I could just wait for March. I don't need March. I can go to June. I mean, um, but if you're buying a pet snake, like that's not influencing you. Like I just need a door. Like if you bring a lot of people in, we'll do okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you are selling those snakes right now that are hard to sell, I can only assume this makes it a little more difficult. Shows are kind of like heroin. People get addicted to the heroin and they can't get off of it. Um, and it feels good when you're doing it. But I mean, look at the end of the year, how much are you making? How much are you losing? Like value
Yeah.
your time, value depreciation on your car, gas, tolls, meals, hotels, stress on animals. You could have sold those animals sitting at home. I mean, I'm
So
not
how many
knocking.
shows do you do a year now?
uh, about 6.
Okay. Sounds great. Yeah, I did too many shows in 2024, and I was like, at the end of the year, like I grossed a lot, but it cost an insane amount because like some of your dog shows will drag down the mean of like
Yeah.
the best shows, but like I had to do the shows to figure out which ones were the dogs. So it was a learning
Yeah, there's
opportunity.
there's 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 no crystal ball, right?
Right.
You just have to attempt to do your best, and that's really all you can do. But I mean, always be intelligent, always keep your eyes open, and be amenable to change. And the one thing I will tell you is doing shows get you in front of people, makes people believe in you more when they
Mm-hmm.
can meet you. So there's a good way to look at it at the beginning is it's marketing yourself as well as your product. The longer you do it, though, I mean, there's lots of mega breeders that don't do any shows at all, right?
Right.
Um,
I do
you
think for
just,
a new person, like hearing the first keeper questions 150 times is actually like a gauntlet that you have to run because like you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly how to present the information the most parsimonious way and lock this person into the right setup right away, and I know what animal they want, and they want an extra picture. I already know they want it. I'm gonna send it. And so that happens the fastest at a show because you get a lot of touch points with customers.
yeah, yeah. I like shows. I wish I could do more. It's not feasible or profitable enough for me to do a ton of shows, but I can in real time, you know, see what people are actually interested in. Like, you don't have to buy stuff for me to know what's attractive. I get tons of
Mhm.
people that walk by and are just like, wow, look at that. And once again, I value women that aren't into the snakes. When they tell me something's really cool, they can just look at it and be touching on the acrylic. And then once that happens enough, you're like, yeah, that's the next golden goose. We need to crank out more of those.
Mhm.
It's just real time, real feedback. Every company does it with I forget focus groups or whatever they're called.
Yes. It's a
Um, you, you
2,000 person focus group, a reptile show.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you anything can be, even a bad situation can be a learning situation. The important thing is don't just continue to step on your own foot or shoot yourself in the foot. Like if something is definitely not worth doing, don't do it. But if you're there, even if it's going bad, like learn something, pay attention to what
Mhm.
people are buying, pay attention. Because like you said, in that region, what sells at Charlotte may not sell in, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. But I can tell you, I've done Tinley since, oh man, I think it was 2006. We've done every Tinley since 2006, except for the COVID one. I didn't do that because it didn't happen. But our biggest market is now Midwest. So I sell more dollars per year into the Midwest than anywhere else in the country. And I credit that because I've been to Tinley so many times.
So they're repeat customers. I've just heard the Midwest market just is a great market now, and I I kind of attribute it to like if you look up like credit card default rates in the country, it's actually like pretty good. Like the Midwest is doing okay in terms of like they didn't overdo it. Maybe there weren't that many PPP loans there. Whatever happened, they're just doing a little better. Maybe there was less inflation in the housing market because they're not in the Sun Belt. It just seems to be a little better for disposable income, even though they're like personal incomes aren't that high relative to coastal people, but they're not dealing with the same inflation pressure. So people from here will drive to like the lacrosse show in Wisconsin It's just was a 1-day show, and they would like kill it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So
proof is in the pudding.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have every answer. I just know that we do really well there, and I always call like Tinley Comic-Con. It's just
Mhm.
it's so crazy. California's just too far. Like I would like to go there one day just to walk around to do
Like a
that super
Pomona.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that in Texas. Like I would like to do the Texas show, but I'm not driving 24 hours to do a snake show.
Would you ever fly snakes and
So
display?
back in the day, that would have been an actual consideration when we made a
Mhm.
lot more money. But now, I mean, it's hard to make the kind of money where like I would really want to do that. You know, I'm getting the, the older and older I get, the more I think about doing less and less,
Mhm.
and just do it better and have a little bit more fun with it. But um, I think anybody that's in the middle of the country has definitely has a leg up. Like you're a lot closer to doing more of the important shows. Where I'm at,
Mhm.
there's very few shows that I would consider worth doing that are close.
Did you do Fredericksburg?
I didn't because the first time they had the show, it lined up on like a niece's wedding or something like that, and then they won't let any more ball python vendors in.
Oh,
So it's like,
bummer.
oh well, yeah,
Well, maybe later. Are you on the wait list?
not yet.
Okay. Maybe later if you feel
I,
like
I
it.
I have a full dance card. It's nothing against them at all. I have a buddy, Jake Schupner, Maestro Exotics, like killed it. Did
Mhm.
great. And I hope they do great. Um, then maybe have something down the road. But yeah, I think doing Tinley twice a year, and I do St. Louis right now, the NARBC St. Louis,
Mhm.
and that's actually my best show. I know a lot of people
Is
don't do
it?
well there. Yeah, I do. Like I do between 10 and 13 grand there.
Do you think it's
Um,
because you have that show is a very pet focused show, like very pet focused, or do you think it's because of something about
I, I,
Missouri?
I don't know. It's still a lot of repeat customers, and we
Okay.
just sell a lot of snake. I don't know. There's also a lot less big vendors there.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I compete with Bob. Like I don't. Bob Boo has stuff like way, out of my league. Like I'm not doing that. But still, if you were coming there, you could have bought a snake from Bob, and if he's not there, you buy it from me. So um, I don't know, but it's so far. It's like a 14-hour drive, and the
Mhm.
older I get, because we drive overnight, like it's getting really
Terrible.
hard to do it.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't. So you drive overnight, like Thursday night into Friday night, and then set
Mhm.
up? I would
Yeah,
never. I
because
would
I
have gone
can't
higher.
take that much time off my work. Like I have so many animals to take care of, so
Oh,
I'll leave.
yeah.
Yeah,
I get
and
it,
then
but
I
I
drive,
don't get it.
and then I have to drive overnight on the way back, and then I have to do pet store deliveries Monday morning. So like completely exhausted.
Yeah, I
No sleep
feel
for.
exhausted for you, and I'm not even doing it. All right, I have two questions about like show biosecurity and quarantine at your uh facility. Would you like to talk over what your procedure is for like show biosecurity?
Okay, so yeah, in a perfect world, um, we wouldn't let somebody handle anything ever. But
Mm-hmm.
current market, that ain't working because these are pet people. So
Mm-hmm.
we're doing hand sanitizer, and then you can hold the animal that you are interested in holding. Um, each room in my building is its own quarantine. So if something goes wrong, it just goes down to one room no matter what. And my breeder room is always quarantined. Like there's nothing goes in and out of my breeder room. So I mean, you can burn me, but you can't burn my business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at my facility, we don't really buy snakes or bring them in. And I'm like, I'll buy one snake a year, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So quarantine, and that's stupid easy. I used to have an entire. We had a big room, but we used to get more animals. But I had racks, for quarantine, and I never ever use them. So I think this year I bought at Tinley. I bought a lava pied corn snake, one of the lines from Italy. It's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. But it's really easy to quarantine a tiny little king or tiny little corn snake. But definitely, if I was buying a lot, I would 100%. Everything would be treated for mites when it would come in. Then it would go into a rack on paper towel, and then you'd have to keep it in there for a minimum. Maybe like if you got it from Justin, maybe like 30 days. But
Mhm.
if you don't know the people, up to 90 days.
Well, have you done any testing of any disease?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay, that's all right. There's a lot of people who don't. I
no.
just do because I'm psycho, but you
Yeah,
know.
well, no, it helps. I mean, there'd be no reason for it, not to help. It's just if I'm bringing in one snake and that snake dies, like I'd never buy an adult, so it's going to show a problem well before it's ever getting
Mhm.
in with another snake of mine.
Right. The
So
longer your quarantine can be, like if it could be until it's an adult, like that's better than even testing. Although I'm very into testing, but a lot of times, like with testing, you're like, part of that is like to get a refund as soon as possible to like detect, like, oh no, it's got crypto or whatever, and then like you're like, hey, and maybe they didn't know, they'd have no idea because it's asymptomatic, and so then you get a refund at that moment, hypothetically.
yeah, I would. This is why I just don't like buying snakes, period.
Mhm.
Because every single time you do anything, something bad can happen. And if you've done it for any length of time, you've seen something or had something happen
Yes.
to you. That's bad. I had way more problems in fish than I do snakes. But like I haven't, goddamn man, I haven't bought a boa in like I don't know 7 years or something like that. So if
Mhm.
somebody was like something's wrong with your boa, is like I doubt it. That snake's older than you are. Like. uh, but I mean, the way we always handle anything is anything I sell is 100% guaranteed. So there's no time frame on that. I don't care. If something come from me and you have a problem, I'll buy it back. I don't need
Mhm.
the animal back. But I mean, part of that is I'm dealing with my own animals that I've had. Like I said, we just keep refining our projects, and then every once in a while you'll add an animal. And in the ball python world, if I buy a snake, where do you think it comes from?
Mhm.
Justin. So you gotta go to somebody that the source is going to be cleaner than you are.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just hard, I think, on new people when they're building the collection of whatever species they have, because by default they must be acquiring a large number of animals
Well, that makes
at
sense. Then I
once
mean,
or
yeah,
over like a year or two, and then those people will crash and burn because they get whatever Nido, Arena, crypto, and then all of a sudden they're like, "This hobby sucks," and they leave. But like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
you want to manage that for sure.
right.
Um, but I can tell you, if you do it for a long time and you don't buy animals or you don't bring them in, like, I mean, it's kind of like if you're married. Like, I don't worry about HIV ever. I'm
That's
sorry.
good.
Like,
That's good advice.
you know, um, it's just don't sleep around. Like don't buy the cheapest thing. Don't look for. I
Right.
mean,
No
all that kind
flipping
of.
collections off of Craigslist.
Yeah, don't buy from people that do the flipping. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm not knocking it, but I mean, if you're acquiring animals all the time and putting them on your table from all these different sources, I mean, that's a mathematical, you know, ticking
Mhm.
time bomb of something. Yeah, I mean, it could be something stupid and simple like a mite. Mites are easy to get
Right.
rid of, but you know, that nitavirus, I know like Eileen tests all her animals for that.
Yeah. But I think that's, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but that's part of the like siren song luring sailors into the rocks of shows where they're like, I got to do more shows, but I need more inventory. But you're not that good at breeding snakes because you're never home. And so you buy wholesale lots because you need more inventory to fill your tables. But like that cost basis is now built in and it's different than what your production cost would have been. And you're burning money on hotels and stuff. And I'm like, I'm always trying to like steer people away from that. Like, just instead of doing a show you don't have inventory for and buying stuff in to do it, just don't do the show. Just like
I know,
breed
but that's the
more.
heroin. It's
I know. That's
heroin.
what I'm saying.
People
like,
feel good about money coming in, but they don't look at money going out. So, I mean, like, this is a personal example. These are 100% factual numbers, but like I used to do Charlotte Repticon, right?
mhm.
Um, it would cost $250 for an end cap table. It'd be $400 or less for hotel rooms. And then it's about 350 or 380 miles from my place. So, almost 800 miles worth of driving. So all those expenses add up. And then I would do like $2,000 or $2,200 in sales, right?
Mhm.
And it was kind of like at the first sign where it was hard to get a table, it's like, I could easily do this without leaving. And when you have more time to mind your business just runs better. The
Yeah,
less shows
snakes
you do.
like to be bred when you take care of them and feed them and look at them and see that they're ovulating. Like you'd
Yeah.
be a much better breeder if you're participating in the process than if you're just like, I haven't been home in 4 weeks. That's my opinion, though. I know lots of people love shows and that's where they vibe and they hate online sales.
Yeah.
But
it just adds to the danger. I mean, that's all it
Right.
is. Like you can always get a mite, and what's that mite carry?
Right. And then what's the
I'm not a vet,
cost?
but I have a vet.
Right. What's the cost of having a mite outbreak that just happened on accident this one time? And then how long does that delay online sales after that or whatever?
Well, I guarantee you it doesn't. They're not going to even say anything about it. They're just going to sell the snakes.
Man,
that's a lot of the vendors.
Listen, I'm the kind of idiot that takes snakes to a show and then quarantines them again. And takes them off the internet half the time.
Yeah, see, this is why it's fun to more think about retirement, because I'm not like, oh, I got to go out and buy this stuff to be cool, and now I have more danger. Like, I mean, everything about my life is kind of on cruise control.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm content at where I'm at, maybe dialing back just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, when you're growing your business, there is no way around it. You're going to have to.
Right.
I mean, I would do whatever you could afford to do. I mean, you can't bankrupt yourself. I mean, only have as many animals as you can properly take care of. If something is sick, like you need to have it, at least have a vet test to see what it is, because they would always be like, is this gram positive? Is it gram negative? Is it this or is it that? Like you have to know if it's contagious. Always treat anything if it is sick as contagious. I mean, it's just stupid not to.
Yeah, there's like a dopamine high thing that I think people in their buying phase keep seeking because they're like, oh, I don't have a strong enough male yet. And I'm like, well, you got pretty good males. Like maybe breed and worry about it next year. So I don't know. Like that's that sort of stuff where it's like, how do you teach temperance to someone who's not ready to learn it yet? But
well, I mean, that's just part of maturity. And
right.
I mean, I would have been the same way a bunch of years. I mean, I was when I was a teenager. I bought tons of snakes. Didn't think anything about it. They went into. I had a little 10x12 shed. It was insulated and had power. I wasn't like an asshole.
Did you have a sunbeam snake too that was wild caught with mites from the pet store? No,
I wish I had that experience. No.
I had sunbeams. I had Asian vine snakes, and just like the dumbest crap possible from a pet store. I was like, get me that.
I don't.
None of them did that good, by the way.
I don't ever like to not. I always try to say this is like I'm not knocking any business model, but you have to be aware.
I don't think that was a business model. That was just a series of mistakes that I just didn't learn from.
Yeah, there's. I used to. I'm not using any names, but there's places that have really bad reputations and they still sell tons of animals, and the reviews are there, as far as having dirty animals. So I think you get burned, that's just going to be how it's going to be. And then you'll either learn or you won't learn. You'll get out. You won't be able to afford it. If it wipes out a collection, I did have something that wiped out a collection, but it wasn't a virus. I had a facility fire.
Oh. Was it from heat tape or a different electrical?
It was from a vision rack that uses the heat cable.
Oh, heat cable.
Yeah. It burned up my breeder room.
Do you not recommend heat cable anymore? I'm assuming. Or were they crossed over? Like, was it an error?
I would not use it after learning what I have learned. So the long and short of it is if it gets pinched before where your probe is on your thermostat. So hypothetically, you put your probe at the midpoint of your rack. If there's a pinch in the cable before that, so no power gets past that pinch. And so all the power is at 100% because the probe on the thermostat is not reading any heat. And so it just keeps pumping out heat, pumping out heat, pumping out heat. Now, I know 100%, I mean, because it was a well into the six-figure digit insurance claim. So there was multiple fire inspectors that came and they wanted to pin it on somebody, right, or a product. So I can't tell you that it was a pinched cable. All evidence points towards it was a pinched cable. But it was in that rack 100% because you could see the ceiling in my facility melted where the fire started. And that was where those racks were. So I like heat tape because when it fails at one specific spot, unless you're really bad and you've really worn the hell out of their heat tape, but it's just safer. Also use stuff that's not plastic, like use stuff that is harder to burn, which kind of sucks because now like all the caging manufacturers are moving away from steel because it costs more to ship. And it's like, oh, you're just making it easier to burn,
Right. That's a good point. What brand of heat cable?
It's just whatever came. It was just whatever comes with the Vision rack. So it was like the 16-quart racks that you could turn sideways and it would hold like a 30-quart tub. Great rack. I mean, I'm not knocking the racks at all. It's just that if it would have been anything other than heat cable and a plastic rack that has a much lower burn tolerance, it probably wouldn't have been. It definitely wouldn't have been as bad. But man, it set it off.
Do you think about doing ambient after that?
So my raise up room is ambient temperature.
Okay.
For my breeders, it is not because you can't control. As far as what I've been told, you can't control your breeding as much. Like it's just all over the place. So if you're controlling your heat, I can cycle animals in a more tight window, so you can control that more.
Do you want to cycle them tight? Are you?
So I've had it all the ways. I complain about all of it, so there is no perfect way.
Fair.
But I'll tell you one thing: the earlier your ovulations are, so the more on point they are to, like I want stuff hatching May, June, July, August. I want the bulk of my stuff because you have to kind of learn to know what your budget is, and unless you can't count your chickens before they hatch. So you can have as many eggs as you want to have, but I mean, until they hatch out, you don't know what you have. You can have the wrong sex. The coolest eggs could be the ones that pip and die or whatever. So at least when you have them in a tighter window, you know what your budget is for the year, versus just saying, hypothetically, I have 150 clutches, so I should be able to,
So have you ever fired a part-time employee based on the number of bananas born, or like? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I've had to downsize before.
Oh, downsize adults?
No, employees.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's what I meant.
I mean, yeah, you have to make enough money to keep it going. I ain't firing me.
Well, how much of your inventory from last year is accounting for the sales of this year in your business?
So I keep records of all that, and then I compare it year over year just to say, so like if we're in 2026, so anything I sell that's a 2025 now technically is a yearling in my data, right?
Okay.
And so I will always have hatchling, I will have yearling, and then everything else is just called adult. So whether I'm selling a 2-year-old animal or a proven breeder, they're all just classified as adults. So that's a small percentage. But for the most part, you want your hatchlings going up every year. Your yearling last few years, we kind of averaged down on production just because you have to make sure you can sell everything, right? So if you produce a ton of animals, and because I'm trained in economics, I kind of forecast a lot and then bank on what I've studied. So I was like, coming out of COVID, it's like we had to make less animals just because we ain't going to find a home for them. And that costs money, right, as a business. So I still have animals from 2 years ago, but you want to have a variety, but you never want to have too many. I mean, so you're just kind of compare it to what you had last year. And then based on what you're forecasting, you may tweak this or tweak that. But for the most part, all things being equal, you want your hatchling income to be going up each year. Your yearling income could go down if you had a great hatchling income, because you wouldn't have the enough animals to then become the yearlings.
Yeah, it just feels like, I don't know, tax return season falls when people have the least inventory, hypothetically.
It can, but you need to sit on stuff.
Right. So like I'd rather sell, because people will dump animals really cheap
during Christmas. It never fails.
And I'm like, wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks, people will start putting on their credit card, anticipating their tax return, like even into the beginning of January. And I just wanted to know, like, if you thought, so you actually will like keep inventory back waiting for the spring?
Because we make a lot of the same stuff, right? So if I have, I don't know, 50 banana pies, my goal is not to blow out 50 banana pies in 3 months. Like that's like, think of it like Target. You don't want them to be like, yeah, we sold every Pampers we had this year. Next 6 months, we had to hope we get some in. Now you don't want that for the longer you sell animals, you'll say, oh, these are more hard to sell. So I'm going to take those to every show so I can get them out, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff that's easy to sell, you have to pump the brakes. You can't just say, oh, it was great, it's gone. Well, now tax time comes and you're only stuck with shit you can't sell. I'm sorry if I can't cuss. I didn't.
No, you totally can, because I'm the boss.
But so if you are doing shows, you have to have sellable inventory. If you don't have sellable inventory, why are you doing the show?
Right.
If you're trying to make once again, if you're just getting your name out there, and you're accepting that, don't then complain to the show and be like, I didn't make any money because I had crap on my table, know. But that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think like there's. Like if you're somebody who's hobby breeding, a show is maybe your wholesale outlet. Like you're just like, this is the stuff I don't need and I can't sell online. So I'm just sort of getting rid of it.
It is, but what you should do is look to establish business relationships with actual pet stores. Or for me, a lot is like at Tinley, we'll have 5 different businesses buy from us, on any given show. Those can be breeders that do 40 snake shows a year, and that can be pet stores, but you don't want to poo-poo those people when they come up and offer wholesale stuff, because you will need them one day. You'll need them. So you don't have to sell them for sure everything, but it's like, all right, you take my really hard to sell, like a portion of my hard to sell stuff, and I'll sell you a couple banana pies, for your pet store and albino pie or whatever. But that's part of business. You got to learn how to thread that needle. In a perfect world, everything would sell retail, but it just doesn't if you make any sort of scale.
Right, of a common species. And this is true for lots of common species. Like if you make enough, whatever, crested geckos, corn snakes, imperator boas, where you probably don't have the man hours in the day to retail all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the benefit of now. Now think of a retail store, how much they pay per square foot, per year. It's a lot. And that's why they have that markup, but they have tons and tons. Well, hopefully if you have a good store, you have tons and tons of people coming in and buying that product. We don't have that. So, whatever your situation is, like you may live in an area where selling a $50 or $100 snake is super easy, and that's super awesome, so you never have to wholesale your normals if you're making 10 or 20 clutches. But it's just, as you scale, if you are scaling, you just have to be mindful. And I think anytime you in a perfect world, every time you do a show, you should be picking up a couple new customers. Like I kind of value my show is how many transactions with new customers I do, not necessarily the dollar amount. So if I do a show and I pick up 10 to 20 customers, I'm pretty happy with that. Like I don't have to do a ton of money, but because most of my business is repeat, like they're going to come back and buy more stuff, and that next show gets easier, and then you have more new people. It all really does build on itself. And like I said, some of that can be those cheap purchases. I had somebody that bought, I can't remember what this was, but I mean, it was like a $60 snake. And you would never have guessed it, but like the very next show, they bought a $600 snake, I mean, it
Mhm.
just, the jump can be quite astonishing. So,
do you have like a door threshold? Like if the show doesn't get a certain door of warm bodies,
I
then
don't, so I don't really talk to many people. Like I'm very antisocial, so I don't know what the door is.
okay,
Like I just judge it by how many people I can see. Like I don't even care if they probably aren't even telling you the truth. I don't know. Like it's
right?
irrelevant.
That's true. I just noticed like if there just aren't enough warm bodies in the room, you can't sell anything to people who aren't there. So
Well,
you're
for
just like,
sure. So if you do a show and you feel that way, you need to,
not do that show
consider
anymore.
that. Consider that. That's the best way I can say that.
Yeah, like to me, like I like corn snakes. They're not expensive snakes, but they're cool. So I'll fight anybody over that. But they are a very door dependent species because probabilities there's maybe a couple other people have a couple, maybe the wholesaler has a couple, which is fine. But like I just need a big door. I need a big door to sell a lot of corn snakes because their very first time pet, they don't have the mystique of a banana that's super cute with the big black eyes. So they're competing with that to that kind of person. So I just need a bigger door, in my opinion. And so I think about that a lot because, like, you also need a bigger door for people to pick up a rare species. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, a door, no matter, more people is more potential
you're
customers.
right.
So the basic economics of it is a bigger door is always going to be better. You're never going to have a worse show because there was too many people that
Oh
came
no!
through.
Oh no!
Now, like at Tinley, this is 100% true story. So a guy that's bought a snake from me at Tinley, the last two Tinleys, and bought one at this show, he was coming back to buy an axanthic pied female, but the crowd was so dense in front of our table, he was like, "I'll come back," and he never did. So that cost me $800.
Oh,
But I mean, that's okay. We had a fantastic
you
show.
did
I don't
good
want to be
anyway.
like, oh, I want that crowd cut down so I can make one sale, you know.
Right, for sure. Uh,
But I do have severe issues if you don't have a good door and you keep adding shows. And there's
or more
certain,
vendors. Like sometimes I think the door would be adequate if like the vendor pool was like balanced or whatever, but that was the door. That's what the amount of advertising they wanted to do. They were satisfied with that, and then they balanced the vendor pool to that. But sometimes they'll just be like, well, book more tables. It's the same 800 people coming in.
yeah.
Uh,
And I've done many shows where I feel that way. I use one of the local shows in Chesapeake. It's by all means, it's not a very good show, but I can take equipment that I don't need. It's kind of like a
mhm.
yard sale. I can take stuff there, and those people are just going to eat it up. So I'm not going there necessarily to be like, I had a great show, but it was like, oh, I got rid of a vision cage I no longer needed, or this or that. So I mean, you know, uh, if I'm selling snakes, I want a door. There's
Yes.
just so many fewer people sell equipment and crap like that at the smaller shows, so you can always use those to help boost your sales by taking some random heat tape and lamps and all that crap and sell some
Yeah, and
stuff.
there's nothing wrong with smaller shows. I'm just like, to be clear, just sometimes I'm like, oh no, there's 40 vendors and currently browsing 30 customers. Like,
Yeah, that's not a winning strategy.
no, we messed up somewhere in this program. There's been an error, a strict error, and we need to stop that. Uh, Final thoughts on Tinley Spring 2026?
I uh, I can't say anything negative about it. It was a very,
Nothing
very
negative,
good
he
show.
says.
It was a
Awesome.
very good show. I just wish I lived closer, and then it would be even better.
Yeah. And you'll be back in the fall, of course.
Yes.
You'll
Yep.
try to get a June show if it
Yeah,
works
like
out.
I think I can. I mean, I just have to make sure. Nobody has a crystal ball for that far in the future, so I have to make sure I've either held stuff back or I know I have enough ovulations where theoretically I should have product. But I can't do a
Mhm.
$2,000 show and be like I'm going there with stuff that's not going to sell. Like
Right.
That's just not, smart.
Oh, last question. What dollar amount of inventory do you feel appropriate for a show? Like some people are like, I need $5,000 to sell $1,000 of ball pythons, like per display, or some kind of math. Do you have a strange math in your head?
No, so I used to try to pay attention to that. But now it's really just the inventory that I have because I know what's going to sell. I mean, I'm selling pet snakes. This isn't rocket science. So if I have the right inventory, I'm like, all right, as long as I'm gonna make $4,000, like I know I'm gonna make $4,000, and if I sell some more expensive stuff, that's the gravy. Like I would do something like that. But doing any show for 2,000 for a weekend, like my time's a little more valuable than that. So if I
Mhm.
didn't think I had the inventory, like where I could make easy that type of money, then it's just not worth it for me. I could have, I mean, theoretically, you could go there with $1 million in inventory and not sell a damn thing because you took the wrong
That is
thing.
correct. But
You
you
know,
can't sell $100,000 weekend if you only brought $5,000 worth of
well,
inventory.
yeah, you have to
So
have you have to
there's
have
like a
realistic
relationship
you have to
here.
have realistic expectations.
Yes. It's
But I mean,
hard.
like I said, I mean, you like when I do a Repticon Baltimore, it's the only Repticon I do now. Um, I'll average $5,000 to $6,000 for the weekend at Baltimore Repticon, and so that I consider that worth my time to do that
Mhm.
show. Um, I'm not going there and getting notoriety, or anything like that. It's just it's worth it for me to be there. If I went to Charlotte, I'd make 2,000. At a great Charlotte, I'd make 3,000. So which show would all drop? It was Charlotte,
Mhm.
and
Makes
they
sense.
wanted to do it like 4 or 5 times a year. I mean, it was
5
nuts.
times a year?
And there's other shows I mean, there's so many shows where, I mean, at some point the vendors need to kind of just prioritize. But once again, it is heroin, like
Right.
if you don't have the confidence to say, I can live without heroin, my man beats me, I can live without him, he loves
Yes.
me, so I'm coming back.
Right, because there's a lot of like you feel guilty, you get like whatever, little guilt emails from the promoters, and I'm like, I don't know. The vendors need to really double down on the shows they know are good and work for them and they like, and whatever reason they want to be there, that's fine. But if they're not making money, if they're losing money every time, I'm just not sure what we're doing. Because
Yeah.
that like sends missed signals to the show promoters. Like, oh, these people must be happy because they keep buying tables.
Well, I I have a kind of a short fuse, and eventually I would get into an argument with a few of the promoters. And it's like, if I'm having a difficult time making all these expenses, you know, I know they are because I
Hmm.
made my stuff. I make all my stuff. Like I may sell in a year, I may sell 20 snakes that I didn't produce, like from a friend of mine that I'm
Hmm.
selling or something like that. But 99% of the snakes on my table, I produced. So I know what my costs are. When you're buying and flipping because you have to do 50 shows a year, I mean, people are really putting themselves in more of a distressful situation. And the
Hmm.
show's like, if you don't do it, then you're kicked out, and somebody
Right.
else will take your space. This is just in demand. Like, well, if I ain't making money, I mean, it sounds a lot like an abusive relationship to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Uh, I don't know. I don't. I think I want the market, like the people, the vendors, which is the whole reason the show exists, to just let the market decide which shows should continue to exist. Like, don't do the ones you don't like, and then all of a sudden it'll disappear, and then only the good ones that are marketed right will exist, and there'll be peace and harmony on the
Well,
earth.
in free market capitalism, that's the way it should work out over time.
Hmm.
Um, but whenever you have booms, that creates artificial hype.
Right.
Then when you have the bust, I mean, if you're a business, you're trying to prevent the bust. Like there's good times and bad times, but you're trying to prevent the bust. You always have to stay in business. If you're uh, a promoter that doesn't have the greatest show in the world and you just keep adding more and more dates, like you need to read the writing on the wall. That's not
Right. But
long
they could have
term.
had like one good date or two good dates a year, but now they
Yeah.
have four bad ones, and no one wants to vend it. It's
And I mean, they keep. I know it's because they get them for cheaper price, but it's like they get them on the worst dates.
mhm.
A lot of these cheaper shows, they're like, "This is Thanksgiving weekend. Like, I don't want to pack snakes on Thanksgiving."
I
Like,
know. I know. It's I don't know. I'm just hoping like because I think part of this is why we maybe partially haven't had like a good capitulation. Lots of people were very motivated in COVID times, and they're all like, "I'm a little business," and so they were like, "I'm going to keep going and keep going." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you should have capitulated 2 years ago because you were never really ready to do it anyway." And that's part. The shows is part of that. Like some of these shows should have been just sent back in because they've never really gotten not
if
every
you,
part of every circuit, but like
yeah, if you can't promote a show so that it gets better, a little better each time. Now, I mean, anything can happen. Like, I mean, if there's an ice storm and nobody comes through the door, that's
right.
not the
That's
promoter's
right.
fault. But if you're not putting money into your product and we're just forking out money to be there, basically, there's some shows where you just stand and stare at another vendor.
For
You know,
sure.
that's not good, man. That's bad.
Mhm.
It's the opposite of good.
The opposite. Eileen goes to her local show to sell sticks. Excellent.
She does. If she
Uh,
bred more snakes, she wouldn't have to sell the sticks.
right at this point, I was definitely like, and I'm still conservative with production numbers because I don't. It sucks chasing demand with supply you already have. Let's be clear. You're like, does anybody want to buy my snakes? So that part's not fun. So I tried to match this year like production with what I thought my ability to sell was, but I have no idea what that is really, and I'm just guessing. So
We all are at the end of the day. I mean, you're doing educated guess, right?
yeah, well,
You may say I averaged this at this location, and you may dial it down. I averaged this on this date, because they typically run similar dates each year. So,
right.
like the craziest thing, and this is the reason I keep doing Baltimore Repticon. And you'll hear people trash it because it's like at a fairgrounds where there's horses everywhere. And there's like 8 million houseflies. It's disgusting. Like I'm not bullshitting. It's literally houseflies everywhere. It's disgusting. But in both this January and last January, it snowed its butt off, like a lot of snow. And people still just kept coming through the door and buying the snake. I mean, sometimes what looks to be a bad situation, like that show is a winner for me. Now I know a lot of people that say it's not, and if it doesn't work for you, then for sure don't do it.
Right, and that's true too. Different, same species even, but different vendors will do differently in the same location.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing is I've done it for so long. It's like I know if I have this specific stuff, like I'm gonna do well.
Because I'm glad that show is consistent too. Because a lot of shows have like changed how they act, and I'm like, oh, what's happening? But
yeah.
a lot of them have gone down also. But I don't know.
And your location actually does mean something, especially big venues. So like I've done Tinley for so long. When I first did Tinley, 2006 or 7, whatever year it was, we were on the very far wall from the front door, which you would expect, your first show, you're getting the crappiest spot. And then each year we kind of got closer and closer to the door. And Tinley used to be half the size that it is now before they expanded. And every time I got closer to the door, we made more money. And then I got right in front of the door and made a lot of money. Then I got an end cap, and it was like cheating. It was like the fishermen that cheat when they fish, and they have these like trawler nets that are like 3,000 miles long, and they just harvest the whole ocean. They're like, it's just a good day. That was like having.
Should crave an end cap.
I can tell you it's easier to sell on an end cap.
Yes.
All things being equal. But being close to the front door at Tinley is is very, very good. Because at the beginning, I didn't have an end cap. I didn't have multiple tables. You start with one table, and then it was two tables. But when I was anywhere near that front door, it was stupid easy. The further we got away from the door, it's just more difficult. We're in a good spot now. We're like one row over from where Justin is. There's a few high-end breeders right there. And then one year, though, I had what is his name? CrestedGecko.com. Garrett DeMeyer. He always has the same spot. And for some reason, after he couldn't, I don't know what it was, but I got his spot. And I didn't pay for an end cap. They were just like, we're putting you here. And that was my first experience with an end cap at Tinley, because those are expensive. It was like pickpocket. It was like the easiest way to make money ever. And then I paid for an end cap, and then as a fool, I gave it up. And that was the dumbest decision I've made in my life, but if you ever get an end cap at Tinley, just keep it. You'll make way more money.
What do you think about end caps at little shows? Is there cost benefit analysis work out the same?
Well, because I don't do a ton of shows, but I've done Repticons. They would do, and I know their price went up, but it used to be $250 for 4 tables. And it was either 80 or 90 for a single table. Now, the benefit of end cap is it would give me a little more space away from other vendors. And at Repticons, there could be some dirtiness, is a polite way to say it. But it gives you your own little, it used to be pipe and drape too. So it was really like your own little store. It was nice. They don't do the pipe and drape anymore, but I put up banners. So it's still kind of having a wall between me and other people. But I do like the end cap. Obviously, if you only have one table worth of product, I don't think that that's worth the trade-off. But I always say, retail is about square footage. If you have a tiny, tiny store, you're not going to attract as many buyers as somebody that's got a broader storefront.
Yeah.
Just all things being equal. I mean, there could always be an exception, a great restaurant in Chinatown that exists in a closet that goes up 100 yards deep, but everybody in the world knows it's there because it's been there for 100 years. But most of us aren't that. So the more space you have, the more chance you have to catch that eye. And then once you get the people to the table, that's where your personality and your salesmanship or whatever. I don't believe in selling snakes. I don't like that. If you're buying something, it's because you want it. I don't ever want you to be like, well, you sold me on this. That's the last thing I want. If you want that snake, that's great. If you're just thinking about it, that's on you. I'm not going to twist your arm one way or another. But I'll never purposely try to sell somebody. But having that space, you can space it out a little bit more, use a little bit more of your showmanship to catch people's eye. There's a lot of people put in effort now, fluffing the tablecloths, put up light. I mean, do anything that catches attention. I mean, there's a reason people do that,
Right. I think at small shows, the ones that seem to do the best are where many people have 4 tables or pods or whatever, because then the vendor number gets reduced. And so each person's share of the pie gets bigger just by default because they have hunkered down over more real estate. So those shows tend to be the most consistent to me. The ones where 80 vendors have 1 table each. And I'm like, what is going on? It's not a balanced show. It's actually much better if people do take up more real estate and slow people down. For little shows. I don't know about big shows. They're crazy. The only one I've ever done is Dallas. So,
well, if you do a big show, it's so easy to not be seen. And I mean, that in times it's not even your fault. So you could be next to a cage manufacturer who sticks out well into the hall. And if somebody looks down the aisle, they don't even see you. That's happened to us before. So, I mean, shit happens, I will say this, at St. Louis, this past St. Louis in November, it was the worst show I ever did as far as St. Louis goes, because Reptile Discovery Line, they routed right in front of our table and nobody could get to our table. And so on Saturday, pretty much our sales there happen between 11 and 2. We'll do a tremendous amount of business between 11 and 2. And that line didn't even begin to dissipate until after 1 o'clock. And so I had a snake that I was so proud of, and everybody that's ever seen it thought it was the most crazy looking thing ever. And I was there to like show it off. It was for sale, and I ended up selling it for less money because nobody saw it. And it was just so disciplined. It's just little kids waiting to talk to whatever her name is.
Emily.
You know, Emily
You don't sound
Gronkowski or whatever his name is. I have nothing against them. It's just
Right.
it's like, what kind of business model is it for you to route their line through the room with the tables? That's what the hallway's for, you know?
Right. At Dallas, they have like a special snake discovery line in the back that sort of loops around that keeps them away from vendor tables.
Yeah. Well,
They don't
apparently
have
this
that.
isn't new. So I've talked to many people that have had this happen to them. But I mean, my overhead is so high, and when you're accustomed to making a certain amount of money to show, and then that just gets shit on. Like I need to do 8 to 10,000 at St. Louis. You know, it's coming up on Christmas. Like, I'm not gonna be able to ship much during December,
Right.
so I need to make good sales to pocket some money, bank it. And that really set me back. And I was, you know, I mean, I'm never gonna say anything bad to Bob or Brian, but it's like, are you gonna do this next time? Because I'm not gonna do this show if you do that. Like, it takes me a tremendous amount of energy to be here. It's a long drive, and now I'm behind, and I didn't even make anywhere near the money I needed to make, you know. So
Do they have a plan to do something
I hope
different?
he does. Bob said that they were going to do a different way to route, but it's like, why would you do it in the first place? Like, just don't route it past somebody's tape. I mean, you have to know people are showing up to see them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there was a big hullabaloo when they first came to Arlington because they were in front of a bunch of people's tables. I don't know where the line should be at St. Louis because I've never been there, but they know that the line should go somewhere. I'm sure they can figure it out. Hopefully.
I hope they do. I'm doing it this year, but if it can't be as bad as it was last time. But if it happens again, then that'll definitely be the last time I do St. Louis. Just too much energy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, brother. I kept you an hour longer than you were supposed to be here. Are you sad?
Oh, it was fun. It was
Okay,
nice.
good.
I don't do this very often at all, so it was neat.
Well, I think you were a wealth of good information, and you sound like a coherent adult, which is my favorite part.
It worked.
You might not actually be that. You did come across that way. Hopefully, someone learned something. The year prior, they were entirely in the hall, and it was fine. So what happened? They moved them?
Yeah, Marcos had a good idea. He's like, let's just drag our tables back, like towards the wall a little bit, and that helped a little bit. And Bob tried to shift their line a little bit more into the walkway, so to speak, not against our table. But I mean, you couldn't even see our table. So, I mean, it sucked. And right next to us was like a toy distributor. I was like, he's in the perfect spot. Like, if you're going to route them, give them stuff they want to buy. Don't put them, nobody's in that line is going to buy anything from me. You're literally just putting up a wall.
Right. It's bummer. Bummer. All right. Let's say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Have a good evening. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're doing it. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it.